for
This
that,
conference
colleagues.
will now be recorded.
Okay, it's being recorded again. Apologies for that, colleagues. Basically, one of our colleagues within the Secretariat stole our slot. They didn't check the calendar and they didn't see that we already had a meeting going on. So, very sorry for that technical issue. But let's move along. And we were on thread number 2. So Jackie, are you able to make me the presenter? Let me see.
Sorry, Joe and Jan, is it too late for thread number 1? I just had a comment, but I couldn't raise my hand before. But happy to just comment on the postings if it's too late right now. Thanks.
Danny, I didn't hear you fully. So you want to make another comment on thread number 1?
Yes, if it's not too late, but if it's too late, I can write it down on the.
Well, why don't you go ahead? No worries.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just a quick comment on the. We don't have the text on the screen right now, but it's just a quick comment on the competence of the CBD and the mandate and jurisdictional scope. That from my interpretation of the convention in Article 4, the CBD has competence and authority over areas beyond national jurisdiction with respect to activities and processes in those areas, not, of course, with respect to, for example, marine genetic resources in areas beyond national jurisdiction, which is only applied to areas within. So I think that, I know we're not negotiating language, but it's just to say that there are a few alternatives there in terms of brackets. And if we clarify that's within the jurisdictional scope of the convention as it has been done before in other decisions like the cold water coral areas work plan, I think that should suffice, and we don't need to have that type of language in terms of the competent organizations, and other competent organizations should be fine, from my perspective at least, from an academic point of view. So yeah, just a quick comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. Yeah. Yes. Now it is an important point, but you're also right that we do not want to discuss text here in detail, but certainly this issue is of importance. And yes, why don't you bring it up? It's a good idea. Why don't you bring it up in the discussion forum? Thank you. And with that, I would like to go to thread number 2. Yes, here we are. We have heard Finland, Panina, and we have now the hand up from Salomao. I hope I pronounced this correctly. And afterwards, Marie Burrell. Blah, blah, blah. What's the name? McKinnon. All right, Salomao, please, and then Marie. Please go ahead.
Oh, yes. Nice to reconnect again and see new people and new friends. Here from the south in Mozambique. For me, this component, marine and coastal, it has been a traditional one, and should be also an important component that should guide us for the next forums and discussions. Reasons, first of all, marine and coastal, it's where everything occurs. Most development and population increase, settlement. So there's quite a lot of impacts going on and transformation somehow. If you look especially on the context of the tropical environment. So therefore, and yet in those areas, we have the so-called critical and very essential habitats. I can mention from my own region and tropics, you know, the mangroves, the coral reefs, the seagrasses, and so forth. Maybe also the rocky shores with an important, including the where people live, the coastal forests and other habitats on immediate terrestrial. So they play a major role in terms of livelihoods, sustainability. So I think we still need to follow this and maybe disaggregate to understand better and also to do appropriate interventions. Okay. I think uh, some of the we need to safeguard livelihoods. That doesn't matter the way we see, but as an important component, both for conservation and to find a way to keep doing something to protect those areas. We really need to this element of livelihood it's a very important. I would also end by talking a little bit on the coastal and marine. It's very much impacted by land-based, ocean-based, and nowadays we have climate change. So this is a new frontier for more interaction, more discussion, and creativeness of humankind and society in order to salvaguard the well-being of the oceans. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this intervention. Yes, very important point you raised here. Let's not forget, it's not only about marine, but also about coastal biodiversity, even though it's kind of a continuum. Yes, but we have to keep this in mind. Oh yeah, and thank you for switching on the camera, Salomao. That's great. Please, everyone who takes the floor, it's for me just nicer to talk or listen to somebody, not to stare at the screen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, now we had actually Marie with a hand, but she has disappeared. Marie, do you still want to make an intervention?
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, Janos. Actually, no, I think I would rather come back later in the discussion if possible, and just taking the opportunity to listen to all the views on these different threads, if it's fine with you. Thanks.
Yes, of course, it's perfectly fine. I just saw your hands. We do not make anybody do something or make interventions. We don't force anybody. No problem. Whenever you feel like it, make your intervention. Now I see a hand from Sophie, and I was wondering, Salomao, is this a new hand or an old hand?
I took it down now. Thank you.
All right, excellent. Yeah, my screen is slowly. Yes, it's gone. Okay, Sophie, please go ahead.
Thank you. I hope the microphone is working. The traditional question to ask whenever you take the floor since 2020. Yes, so it comes as no surprise that these elements are important for us. It's very important for us to see how this discussion will feed into well, targets 1 to 8 mainly of the post-2020 discussion. Then I will limit my comments to paragraph 1 and 1 alt, where we feel that the post-2020 global biodiversity framework has or will guide our work for the ocean both inside and outside national jurisdictions. So that's quite an important aspect for us. We believe that for the Aichi targets already and the future global biodiversity framework post-2020 has a realm that goes both for within national jurisdiction and outside national jurisdiction. I think, for example, just to give one example, if we want to aim at a target of a certain percentage of marine protected areas, that we cannot limit ourselves to within national jurisdiction. So this is quite an important feature that in this paragraph can be highlighted.
Thank you, Sophie. Yeah, this is a very nice link directly to GBF. So thank you very much for this very good example. Anyone else? Anything on threat number 2? I don't see a hand, so I would like to go to threat number 3, please. Right, here we are. Threat number 3. Now we're talking about implementing the post-2020 GBF in marine and coastal areas. It links to what Sophie has just said, but of course, it's a slightly different viewpoint, slightly different taking here. Please, I open the floor for any comments, any views.
A short comment, sorry, again, I cannot find the
Okay,
hand.
no problem. Go ahead, Vivienne, go ahead. Thank
Threat
you.
2 and 3 are key for the social, civil society, indigenous people, and local community sectors. And I hope that we could be mentioning some of the key issues that we will be and have been presenting to the discussions, global discussions of the Global Biodiversity Framework, but particularly of our interest in this issue, threat 2 and 3, is the women's participation in the coastal areas use of resources. And here, I believe we will be preparing some inputs in the discussion to make sure that this is visibilized and that we can support the suggestion that has been made by the women's groups in the CBD concerning Target 22. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Vivienne. Very good point. And as far as I remember, Geneva, there was now a standard language which covers women and youth and health or something. We certainly will make sure that this, if you bring it up, it's been put into the right wording. So please, yes, bring this up in the discussion forum. Very good point. And I see now Mustafa. And before I give you the word, Mustafa, please, everyone else, I would really like to ask you to switch off your microphones. This would make it better to understand everybody. Thank you. So, Mustafa, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I think the main reason on this thread, the implementation of the post-2020 is not an easy, because it is connected with many other targets, especially target 30%. At the same time, we made it, I mean, developing countries, we made it very, very clear that it should be linked to the resource mobilization as well as DSI as well, because in DSI, especially if the new UN agreement on conservation of marine biodiversity beyond national jurisdiction is going to be approved very soon. So this should give us an opportunity to raise, or shall we say, to have a high profile of this threat in a way that we linked all of the related issues together, and that to raise the profile of this target. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mustafa. DSI. Wow, yeah, that's a tricky issue. And yes, please bring this up in the discussion forum. This is something important, even though you're right, certainly difficult to tackle. The next hand was from David Obura. There he is. Hey,
thank you very much, Janos, and good morning, good afternoon to everyone on the line. Pleasure to see you all. I'm a part of Cordio East Africa. We're an observer organization based in Kenya, working on coral reefs. I'd make two quick points on this thread, if I may. So on paragraph 3, I think it is very important to have some text highlighting the role of marine and coastal biodiversity in the post-2020 global biodiversity framework, because of course there tends to be a lot of focus elsewhere. But also of particular importance, as we've already heard, is the importance of indigenous peoples and local communities and small-scale fisheries, which comes up in many places. So retaining mention of IPLC and small-scale fisheries is very important for the equity dimensions. And then in paragraph 4, and this relates to prior mention of regional organizations in the preambular paragraphs, and on supporting monitoring by countries on marine and coastal biodiversity. And I think it's particularly important in marine systems, the role of regional organizations and regional networks, in fact, in generating and supplying data or aggregating data for monitoring and reporting. So I'll bring up in the discussion thread if the role of networks could be mentioned, because this paragraph mentions global and regional organizations, but a lot of monitoring data is compiled through networks rather than single organizations. So recognizing those, such as under GeoBond, might be important for marine and coastal. So thank you.
Thank you, David. Yes, please bring this up in the discussion forum. Very important points as well. And now we move to Jeremiah. Edmund, I'm sorry if I don't pronounce your name correctly. And I would like to ask Mustafa and David to take down their hands if possible. Unless you have another intervention, no problem. That's fine. So, Jeremiah. Hello? Jeremiah, can you hear me? No, not yet. Maybe we try to solve the technical issue, and in the meanwhile we ask Sophie to take the floor, and then we get back to you, Jeremiah. So Sophie, please.
Thank you. I'm going I'm not going to comment on all the paragraphs on the screen. Just want to confirm that for Belgium as well, we feel like the mention of women is an important aspect, so want to join Vivian in that aspect. Then paragraph 3, there's a lot packed in there already, so I feel a little bit guilty and even more in there. However, these are important issues to us. We feel like 3 issues could be mentioned more explicitly, which are the link with climate, unless I'm not seeing it. The second one would be seabed mining and having that mentioned as well. We think that this is an important potential threat to the marine environment. So it would be important to have that mentioned here as well. And we feel like reference to bycatch would be important about fisheries, unreported, unregulated, unsustainable fishing. We think that bycatch has it well. Then regarding plastic litter, I think maybe the term that we are moving towards is plastic pollution rather than litter. So maybe we can take a look at what we think of that term. And finally, regarding the 30% that is mentioned there, this is indeed a target number that Belgium supports. However, for us, it's important to look not only at the quantity, so the 30% in terms of a numerical value, but also the quality. And in that sense, as part of the Blue Leaders Alliance, we think that we can look for inspiration for the text that many of us have agreed to at the IUCN World Conservation Conference, where we include a reference to highly and fully protected areas. We do think that that this qualitative aspect, by including as well highly and fully protected areas into our 30%, would be important.
Thank you, Sophie. You were a little bit hard to understand, but I hope I captured it all, and I hope everybody understood what Sophie said, mentioning several issues which are currently listed in para 3. Please bring this up in the discussion forum. One thing, however, I would like to remind all of us of what Ezekiel said in the beginning. What we want to avoid, or at least try to avoid, is that we have huge Christmas tree-like paragraphs. And so we might want to think about in the discussion forum actually how we might want to find wording that incorporates everything but does not specifically list everything, because then it will be probably one paragraph might fill 1 page or something like that. So maybe you have a solution for that, some good terms. Please don't forget, it's not a negotiation text, but if you have smart ideas on that, because we will encounter this also in different paragraphs, they are very welcome if you have any smart solutions on that. Thank you. And now I see the hand of Penina, but before we go there, I would like to ask whether Jeremiah is back and whether you want to make your intervention now. No, I don't see or hear anything. All right, please keep on trying. We don't want to miss your intervention. If it doesn't work out now in this webinar, please post it in the discussion forum. And now with that, I would like to give the word to Penina. Please go ahead.
Hey, hello. Yes, I would like to also agree with for us, for Finland, the 30% of the global ocean is one very important issue for us. And still, I don't have any, I would like to raise the importance here also as a threat, the noise, underwater noise. So I know I'm just giving more and more Christmas tree decorations here, but still I feel that it's something that has not been so much raised, and it should be more raised. And also agreeing with the bycatch issue, that is quite a problematic issue in our oceans. So, but let's see how we can solve this Christmas tree problem. Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Penina. Christmas tree. We are far away from Christmas. It's pretty hot here. And yeah, maybe someone of you has a good idea to come up with a solution to streamline these paragraphs and still incorporate all important threats and pressures and issues who are covered.
มันมี2 ช่องให้เลือกใช้อินกับอันนึงโอเค
Now
ทุกอย่างนั่นแหละเลยไปที่น่ะโอเค I'm ready เลยเนี่ย
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, there was someone unmuted microphone. Now I hear, I read a chat from entry from Jeremiah. Mike is a problem. He agrees. Oh, you can all read it, but I read it out. He agrees with Mustafa. Should be linked to my financial mechanism. Difficult to implement the post-2020 GBF as an IDS or SIDS nation. Many communities depend on coastal resources. Balance of conservation and livelihoods needs to be maintained. Thank you for this intervention. Now we take this in writing here to our forum now, but please also mention it in the discussion forum And I'm sure there will be interesting discussions and responses and maybe solutions on that issue. Thank you, Jeremiah. And I think I don't see any other hand now for thread number 4. So with that, I thank all the contributors to that thread, and let's move to thread number 4. Did I repeat myself? Yeah, no more comments on thread number 3, and we move now to thread number 4. I'm sorry. Right, here we go. Thread number 4, plastics, marine spatial planning, and deep sea mining. Plastics and deep sea mining were just mentioned in thread number 2, which should be covered in paragraph 3, one way or the other, or in one way or whichever way. And here we have some specific paragraphs on these 2 issues and also on marine spatial planning. So I would like to open the floor for any comments on these 3 paragraphs, 7 to 9.
Two comments, if possible, from our side. I think IPLCs and civil society has been very strong on some of the issues here. I want to point out 2 that we might be able to discuss in the fora. Concerning marine spatial planning, the need for it to be equitable and to have participation of the most vulnerable sectors, especially in coastal and marine biodiversity areas. And concerning deep sea mining, we have strong positions against the opening of deep sea mining for the impacts that this might have for local and vulnerable small-scale fishing communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vivienne. And yes, I would like to ask everyone, encourage everyone, even if the raising hand button does not work, just speak up like Vivienne does. This is perfect. That's what we want. We want a lively discussion. So everyone, please feel free to intervene. And now I have a hand from Sophie. Please, Sophie, go ahead.
Hi. I'm hoping that the microphone is better now. First of all, on 7, I think that by now we can update this a little bit, both in terms of the terminology that we use. So plastic pollution would be the terminology that we would prefer, and also maybe it can benefit.
Sorry, Sophie,
yes?
it's hard to understand. I'm sorry for that. It was better. It was really good in the beginning. What trick did you do?
Better
now?
We
don't hear. Let's try. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So we think that paragraph 7 could be updated with using the terminology pollution, plastic pollution, and to make a reference to the UNEA decision, perhaps. And then secondly, on paragraph 9, it's the Belgian position that deep sea mining can only go ahead if, according to the precautionary principle, it can be done in a way that would not harm this precautionary principle and that would not cause serious damage to the marine environment. And the current formulation seems to preempt the fact that there will be deep sea mining. So we wish to have that word of caution maybe we can think of language later on, but in any case that spirit should be reflected as well, that we should not assume or preempt the fact whether or not deep sea mining will actually take place. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophie. I hope everybody could understand Sophie. I was able to hear her. Was better than the other mic or whatever techniques you have in the background. Yeah, thank you for that. Very important points. Yes, the spirit. I like this word, spirit, and please keep this in mind. What we want to achieve at COP15 is to move forward and come up to a good and strong decision at COP15 too. And yes, the wording should be in a spirit that everybody is happy, and it's still at the same time a strong marine conservation document. Now I would like to give the word to Mustafa, and then what's the name? I don't know. I will look it up. Patamak. No, it's gone. All right, Mustafa, you start. Then we take the next one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For some reason or another, I think this thread 4 deal with several issues that are related to marine biodiversity. Either you link them to thread number 3, which you can put all of these text in number 3 in a way that you can raise many important issues, whether it is special planning or sea mining, whatever, etc. Alternatively, it can be linked to thread number 2 as well, because you deal with very important issues related to biodiversity, marine biodiversity, and coastal biodiversity as well. Thank you. To make it easy.
Yes, no, excellent. Thank you very much, Mustafa. This is good. We talk about spirit here, and this is a refreshing idea. Please keep this in mind. Of course, we can at COP15, not here, but we come up maybe with ideas how to group the different paragraphs in a different way to make the whole thing more digestible and more acceptable to everybody. Thank you, Mustafa. Fantastic. And now we have what's his name or her name? Simon Patamakin Anek. Simon, I don't know. Can you raise your voice?
Hello, are you getting me?
Yes, here we go. If you can switch on your camera, it would be great. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm getting you. Are you getting me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you for giving me the floor. I'm speaking from Cameroon. It's true we're having some connectivity issues. That's why my camera is taking much time to come on. But I think I will just continue if you're getting the voice. Okay, I would like to say Cameroon actually welcomes this threat because we think plastics litter is actually a great issue as far as marine and yeah, I think my camera now is okay. So saying that we think Cameroon strongly believes that this threat is quite important because plastic litter is a great issue for coastal and marine biodiversity nowadays. So we strongly support this. Uh, Concerning paragraph 8, we think it's actually quite good to request the executive secretary to support the implementation of marine spatial planning, because spatial planning is a great issue for biodiversity protection, not only in the case of marine and coastal ecosystems. So it's quite good, including capacity building, but we believe that there is a point that is missing in here, because we should go beyond just capacity building as a tool to normally promote marine spatial planning. We think we should also integrate aspects of technology transfer as far as marine spatial planning is concerned. So in paragraph 8, it will suggest that aspects of technology transfer comes in after capacity building. I believe we're going to formalize that in writing through the platform, the online platform that we'll have. Now for paragraph 9, it's true it asks to encourage parties and invite other governments to minimize and mitigate impacts of deep sea mining. But we think that the actors here should not be limited only to parties and governments. We also think that the various economic sectors that are directly concerned with these projects of deep mining and deep sea mining on this coastal marine area should actually be implicated in these perspectives. I'm just talking because some few days ago we had our government sign a partnership with one Chinese mining company for almost 50 years to carry out sea mining in one of our very coastal, important coastal areas in our country. So we think this aspect of development, which is actually political for many countries, poses a lot of problem to our marine coastal biodiversity. So we shouldn't invite only governments because sometimes they have a lot of indirect pressure coming from these huge international economic companies. So we should encourage not only parties and governments but also various sectors like the economic sector to minimize the impact of their activities concerning deep sea mining on the coastal and marine biodiversity. So globally, that's the general points we have for now from our perspective. And as I said, we're going to formalize that in writing via the online platform. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Excellent. Please do so. Provide these thoughts into for the discussion forum. And also, I've seen now there are several comments in the chat. We don't have time now to cover them, but please do not. And I don't know whether they will be recorded. I'm simply not sure how this, or if someone types them up. But please, whatever this will happen to them, please take your thoughts and post them in the discussion forum. They're valuable, they're important. Please do not hesitate to bring them in there, even if you don't have time now to cover them. Thank you. Now I think we have one more hand on thread number 4, which is Salomao, and then we move on to thread number 5.
Yes, that's me, Salomon again from the university in Mozambique. I'm not sure if we are supposed to comment on how the thread comes up, because in this case you have marine spatial planning, which is a tool, can be applicable, I think, even for other threads that were mentioned. But on the other hand, we also have the plastics and the mining, which can be seen as issues and hazards. Okay, that's my main comment. I also agree with the last speaker when he mentioned, especially paragraph number 2. I think he entails that probably the productive sector needs to get engaged also in MSP there. Which is not clear there. Okay, it says collaboration parts, government and relevant organization, but I think there's an important element of productive sector, like private groups, etc., to get engaged in this element. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much. Good thoughts. Yeah, if you have an idea how to group them or where to put them, yes, please go ahead and put them in, or put your ideas in the discussion forum. So the people have heard it, and I ask everybody, with respect to the intervention you've just heard, think about it and reply to it in the discussion forum, that we can get an active and lively discussion in the forum. Thank you. And with that, let's move to thread number 5. And Mustafa.
Janos, you seem to have muted yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. When did you hear? When did I mute?
Right after you said Mustafa, it cut out.
All right. No, I asked Mustafa whether this is an old hand or a new hand, and it was an old hand. And
so I would, as long as my microphone is active, I would just flag. We understand that
It's
a number
old
of
hand. It's old hand.
Oh, thank you, Mustafa. We understand that a number of participants are having trouble or cannot see their raised hand function. Our colleague Serge, who has noted in the chat that if you open this in your browser, you can see the raised hand function. I think for some of you that are using the sort of more app-style version of it, the raised hand function is not there. Alternately, another idea is to indicate in the chat. If you can't see your raised hand, you can't open it in the browser, you may wish to indicate in the chat that you can say hand, and we can call on you from there, and that's another option as well. Or just simply unmuting yourself if there's no other hands or no other hands waiting. Thank you. And also just to note on this paragraph, on this slide here, I had to split up paragraphs 10 through 15 across 2 slides. So this is the first slide for thread number 5.
okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Joe. And once again, even though we are at the last thread, just speak up. We can hear you then. We will not miss your voice if you have problems with this electronic hand. Or switch on your camera and wave to me. Also highly appreciated. Then I can see your real hand. I see a comment from Puri, and I don't know to what thread this now refers to, David Obura. Maybe all of you simply have a look in the chat and read the comments there. And please, everyone, my previous comment also responds. Okay, excellent. So we give you the word, I give you the word in thread number 5. So let's move to thread number 5. We have mainstreaming, capacity building, partnerships, and synergies. This is the paragraphs 10 to 15. So it's on 2 slides, as Joe just pointed out. And yes, Puri, do you want to start then right away? Please.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah?
Yes.
Yes, because my connection is not very good, but it seems that now it's enough to talk. Yeah, I just wanted to stress the importance that the texts reflect key actors on those processes of mainstreaming and building capacity and creating those partnerships and synergies. So I think it will be very important to identify the different kinds of institutions that promote this, but especially when we talk about marine protected areas, the existing networks of managers, they are really playing a key role on all those dimensions. So I will just stress the importance of recognizing and promoting and strengthening those networks at regional level, especially, also national level. So I think actually the networking approach is really relevant when we think on the process of implementing from the international agenda to the ground level, independently of the responsibility of the governments. The civil society needs let's say mechanism of systems to articulate this download of the actions. So with this approach, the networks, the combination of regional networks with national networks really helps a lot to be very focused on the implementation of those targets. So I think this will be good to really be reflected in the text, and I just wanted to stress this point now. Thank you.
Thank you, Puri, for your valuable thoughts. I heard you loud and clear, so no problem there. And yes, these are very important thoughts. Please post them in the discussion forum, and everybody else thinks about them and replies. And unfortunately, Viviane had to leave. And we have another 10 more minutes. And the floor is still open for thread number 5. And I see Mustafa. Please go ahead.
All right. First of all, I would like just only to welcome Buri for coming back home after a very long trip to the Far East. That was a marvelous trip for her, and I have seen fantastic. The reason why I'm saying that because I fully support what she already said regarding the regional and national networking of MBAs. Having said that, for some reason or another, I get a little bit confused because, in one hand, you have mainstreaming, and then you still have synergies, and then you have partnerships. These are too many things. Mainstreaming is a very powerful tool to respond to all of these issues together. So maybe we need to think back again to the old statement about what already stated about mainstreaming in the conventions and many decisions that already made about that in terms of policy, in terms of uh, changing legislation as well to be able to deal with all of these issues. Certainly, partnerships, we support the statement very clear because it helped a lot, especially when it comes to the biodiversity, capacity building, and many others. So for some reason or another, I'm not very happy or a little bit confused about putting all of them together in one thread. Maybe we can split them either, or we can have a specific one on mainstreaming, and then partnerships could be another one. So that will not be a focus as you're trying to do, but I think this is the way how I see it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mustafa. It's a very good point you make. Of course, the threads, they are just an approximation for how we thought this can be divided into tangible work strands. Of course, within the discussion forum, it's possible to raise one issue, which then is being replied to or discussed by all the participants. And in parallel, under the same thread, we can also basically follow a different issue. Also, we will have a look at which the secretariat and the facilitators, Mireille and I, will of course have a look into what's going on, and if we see there's a necessity to come up with a new thread, to divide a thread, or maybe to combine a thread with two threads, we will do so. And you can just see that then you will be informed about in the discussion forum. Thank you for pointing this out. Very good point. And with that, I think we're done with the different threads, unless anybody else would like to make the last intervention. Nope. So thank you very much for that. And I think we're at the end of our session, not only time-wise, but also with respect to content. We have covered all the 5 threads. And on the agenda is now question and answer to any outstanding issues. And I think I hand over to Joe for that. Joe, please.
Sure. Thank you. Yes, I hope that everyone at this point now is, and I hope everyone can hear me, but I hope everyone at this point now is a bit more comfortable and at least aware of what we're going to be talking about, how we're going to be proceeding with the discussions. I think also it's important to clarify that the threads were simply a way to split up the paragraphs so they're not any formal categorization. They won't have any of this type of categorization in the COP decision. It's simply a practical, just to make things easier so we don't have everything in one discussion chain. So don't, I think we can revisit, the Secretariat and the co-facilitators can revisit the thread topics and see if we may wish to to reorganize them. However, it's simply a means for us to just split things up and to bring things together where they're useful and where they can be in the same discussion. So nonetheless, we'll revisit that. So just and as I said earlier, the forum, the rest of our discussions, at least for the next 4 working days, will begin on June 9. So basically midnight, as of midnight Eastern time, midnight Montreal time tonight, the beginning of June 9. The forum will be open so people can start making posts. Will be open at all times, at any time of the day. Anyone can log on at any time in the next 4 working days to make posts. It will be suspended over the weekends because we cannot moderate over the weekend, and then it will go until the end of the day on June 14. Then on June 15, we'll have the wrap-up webinar. So just a reminder again that you need to be signed in. You need to either be signed in with your existing CBD account, and if you already have one, I encourage you to check now to make sure you know what your password is and you know how to log in, or you have had an account created for you and you should have been alerted of that over email. So if you don't know how to connect, you're not sure if you have an account, first try to log into the CBD email, the CBD website, and if not, please feel free to write to us in the Secretariat and we can resolve that for you. Beyond that, just a reminder that the forum page is its own page, separate from the documents page. They are linked to each other, but reminded that they are separate pages. And to check that email that you received from my colleague Jacqueline Grekin, which has all of those details about how to connect to the forum, how to connect to the web page. So all of the useful information generally is in there, which can give you the starting point to make sure you know how to access these things. And yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you. Perhaps Hesikio, if Hesikio is still here, he may want to give any sign-off remarks, or maybe even Mary May, since she hasn't really been able to talk very much. But Hesikio, if you wish to intervene.
Just to thank you all for your participation. I think this is the warm-up session, so we look forward to see your contributions during the next few days on the specific threads in order to enrich these discussions and to provide good elements to facilitate negotiations at the COP and to facilitate the message from the experts to the fourth meeting of the open-ended working group in Nairobi in consideration of coastal and marine biodiversity for the global biodiversity framework. Thank you very much to all. Looking forward to see your inputs, the digestions and the outcomes in a week from now in the closing webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Great.
Ezekiel. Thank you, Joe. I don't know, is Mary May?
Thank you. Thank you. I hope that everyone participates actively in the forum, and I should be able to come on and also provide my inputs as is possible. And hopefully on Wednesday next week, I would be better and I will alleviate some of the pressures from Janos and be able to help facilitate the session. But I've been listening and I've heard all of the proposals being made, and we will see how best to integrate that into the final report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mary May. And of course, also thank you very much from my side for your contributions and all your valuable interventions. And I also hope that we'll get a lively discussion forum. Thank you very much. And Joe, I think you closed the meeting, or do I do that?
Well, you're the de facto chair. We have so many chairs here, so I think we can maybe we should just all jointly close the meeting. So thank you so much.
All right. Yes.
And we'll see each other's faces again a week from today. And in the meantime, we will see all of your input online into the forum.
Excellent.
Thanks,
Thank you. Bye bye.